What's going on, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Expected Bets For podcast. Today, we'll be breaking down the Metropolitan Division and going over a few of our best bets. Before we do that, let's bring in the rest of the crew. Franco, we get to talk Metro today. How excited are you?
I'm pretty excited for the rest of the teams, but you know how I feel about Philly. Let's just move on for a few more years, and then we can get serious about this.
All right, I like it. It's positivity to start.
Yep.
Betzky, how we doing out in Arizona? Apple picking weather yet, or still another 6 months?
Yeah. No, we're almost there. It was only 104 today, and it's in the 70s at night. So, yeah, all the apples are getting nice and crisp. Their leaves are still all green. No, nothing's going to change yet, but maybe pretty soon.
That's hysterical. All right, I guess let's jump right into it here. We'll start with the division winner here. Carolina Hurricanes posted 113 points last season. Make a few moves this offseason. Obviously, they get rid of, or they signed Tony DeAngelo to a 1-year deal. Franco, we'll see how we like it later. But they also bring in Michael Bunting, which I think is a great pickup for them, which we could talk about as well. And then in addition to Orlov, they did lose Pacioretty, Gosses Briere, but in terms of their acquisitions, I think it kind of outweighs their departures here. And this team kind of looks right for another first place finish in the Metro. What do you think about that, Betzky?
Yeah, I think them and Jersey are going to be my two picks for taking it all. And I mean, both I could see making their way all the way to the Cup finals. This team, I thought one of the things that impressed me the most with this team was the injuries they had in the playoffs or near the end of the season last year, and they still managed to make it to the conference finals. It shows the depth of this team. I mean, Kokaniemi still, he was a 2019 or he was a 18 pick, right? 2019 pick.
Is he 19? Yeah, I thought
No, he's 18. 18.
Okay.
Because he's same year as Barrett Hayton and Brady Tkachuk. He was like the third overall that year.
Third overall, 2018.
Yeah. So he's still young. I mean, he's a big center. A lot of these bigger players sometimes take some time. So if he can really solidify himself as a top 2 center this year, I think that's going to really help this team come together. I thought he looked pretty good in the playoffs. Just going off the daily face-off projected lineups, they got Tavo now on the third line. How many teams can say that? I really love the addition of Michael Bunting. I was really concerned of where he went, and if a team was going to expect, first line point production without him being stapled next to Austin Matthews or Marner, and he went to a team with enough depth and enough kind of scoring that can be up and down the lineup where he should get some good matches. And I think he brings a lot of snarl, a lot of that characteristic element that makes the Canes so sticky to play against. I think he's going to fit that team just like a glove. So, not too many big changes outside of that. The Orlov signing was insane as well, like you mentioned. And DeAngelo's been here before, and I thought he always fit in really well. He was able to put up a lot of points and brought an element that their blue line doesn't really have. And now they got the better version of Burns as an offensive defenseman. So I mean, up and top down this lineup, there's really no holes. The goaltending looks great again, as long as everybody can stay healthy. I mean, they got a great shot. And then who was? Geez, I'm totally out of season practice. Who was the rookie last year goaltender that really started to turn some heads? So.
Kochetkov.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, they got even layers there. So, if Ronta goes down, you pull him up. If Anderson goes down again, you can pull him up. And that's a well-oiled hockey machine.
The issue for me with this team, though, is it seems like the past 2 years that they've won the Metro, they've kind of been everyone's almost dark horse pick, even though they've been around, 11, 14 to 1, that range. Yeah. And they've just never come through. It seems like they've always been bit with the injury bug.
Yeah.
Especially with goaltending a little bit, but that hasn't been the issue. But they just seem to can't break through the conference finals.
I do think they miss a little just superstar magic power that other teams have, teams that have McKinnons, that have the Hughes, that have, Stamkos and Kucherov. There's a little bit of that, like, little sprinkle of magic, fairy dust, whatever you want to call it, that when I look up and down that lineup, Shevnikov's really kind of closest person to superstar status here. But I don't know. I mean, it's Nate just took a huge step up. It's hard to not want to root for this team or root for them taking the division. But like I mentioned before, there's somebody and that one other team that I like quite a bit too.
Yeah, Franco, what are your thoughts on this team here? I'm curious to hear that.
Yeah, I think Betzky hit that one point around the head, because there isn't that one superstar, right? So like when they're down 3-2 late in the game or something like that, who is it? Like, who's the guy that's going to double shift? They don't have that. Aho's pretty damn good.
Yeah, he is, but
they're not like that next level. It's I don't know. That would be my worry, I guess. But yeah, I mean, this team looks great, deep as always. The pieces are all still there. Martin took a huge step in the playoffs. I know he was. Everybody was betting for him to score points, and he was just like on fire. But yeah, I mean, injuries is the main thing, right, with this team, especially in net. And Svetch is coming back from the injury, so they say he's going to be ready for the regular season. So we'll see how he looks. Hopefully, he's good to go. And I like the addition of Bunting too. Like you said, he can move up and down. Right now, he's projected on that top line, but I don't mind moving Svetch up or even Teravainen up and then shifting him down their second or third line. And I feel like this team is just so deep, and they really roll all four of these lines. I mean, even that fourth line looks just solid. I mean,
The third pairing of Orlov and D'Angelo, even that's
exactly like, and that's where Tony D'Angelo belongs, right? So like on the Flyers, he was playing top line minutes, and like it's ridiculous, obviously, but you can shelter in Carolina. You can shelter him. You can put him with Orlov or with Pesci, one of these guys that's just rock solid, and just be like, go ahead, Tony, do your thing, dude. Like, and make stupid plays, and maybe we'll get a goal off it, or maybe we'll have a 2-on-1, but at least Pesci's back to save the play. So, I mean, yeah, this is just a well-constructed team. I mean, seeing D'Angelo and Burns on your power plays, I mean, that's just stupid at the point. And like you said, Kochekov being that backup, like I would almost rather them have gotten rid of Ranta or Anderson and let Kochekov have a full season with the team, to be honest with you, just because they're gonna get injured. It's like you rely on them, and then it's like they're gone. See ya.
Yeah, that's probably why they're doing it for one more year, and the fact that they can afford to right now. So why not? This has to be the best defensive core in the league, right?
Yeah, them or Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. Yeah. I guess
I don't know. I think I may take this though.
This is a little bit more fun looking than Vegas is. Let's put it that way. With Burns and D'Angelo, like these guys, those two are going to produce points. I mean, talk about point props to start the season. Fire away.
Yeah.
Until
Interesting
San
season.
Jose again.
Interesting season total here. Last 2 years, they had 116 and then 113. Their season total points this year is 105.5.
I think that reflects the
rest of the
teams in
division.
the Metro getting better.
Yeah.
Because we had Basement Dwellers and Jersey just 2 seasons ago. Columbus was arguably one of the worst teams in the league for a while, and I think they've improved.
Pittsburgh making a big splash, trying to just milk out the rest of this veteran core.
Yep. So really, I mean, gosh, I don't even know who the worst team. Like, there's no easy bet here as far as who would be the worst or best on this division, to be honest. But
yeah, when we talked about the Pacific and Central, I feel like we could have each come up with our top 4. Here, I feel like it's going to be tough to come up with your top 2.
Yeah.
If every single team here could put up 80 points. Well, wait, sorry. No, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. There's one clear bottom dweller.
Yeah, I was gonna
But-
say you're a
I was
little
to say
higher on the
there's at
Flyers
least
than I am, but
No,
yeah,
no,
there's two, if not three at this rate. But
yeah, but even that second one,
we'll
I'm
get
assuming
to
you mean the
other
Capitals
teams,
too, right?
I had three of Columbus, Washington, and Philly.
but- See, Columbus, I'm kind of excited for. I mean, we're gonna
Me
get
too.
to that in a minute, but I
Me
mean,
too.
yeah, I don't know. I think that some of these teams have gotten a little bit better. You know, the older teams feel like they got worse, like Washington, Pittsburgh, in ways, I guess.
Well,
And I guess the Islanders as well, right? Like the Islanders didn't change, and
They
they
didn't
just
do much
got
at
older.
all.
They didn't do anything. They just
Yeah,
got older. They just whatever. I mean,
the same style of hockey they play.
Yeah.
man. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, at one of 5.5, you said. I mean, it's so hard to bet a high number like that, but this team looks so good, and they should be
Posting even, I mean, I guess you could argue too. Last year when they had 113, the Devils were a pretty solid team. Then obviously they're going to improve this year, but still, even putting 113 up last year is impressive.
So the line's 105.
105.5.
What, do you guys know what it was last year? I feel like it was 103.5. Does that sound right?
I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it was. So, I mean, it's not that much of a shift from last year. And I think, honestly, like getting rid of Stasny and I'm trying to think of who else they really lost. I mean, they didn't have Ghost going into the season. They acquired him. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it almost feels like they got a little bit better, actually. Like,
Yeah.
Pacioretty was always a big question mark coming into the season last year. So, I mean, you can't even, like, factor him in as a loss.
Yeah.
So, I like this team. So, I think that's
I
all.
do too. Yeah, that over seems pretty tasty.
Seems pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. All right, moving along here. We'll head to Columbus here. Obviously, crazy news this offseason in the past kind of 2 weeks with that Babcock saga. Just absolutely wild. I think that was kind of the first time in a long time that you really saw social media get a coach fired.
Yeah.
Which I think it's been the only time, really. I mean, you obviously felt like Cassidy out in Vancouver last year was social media was trying to save his job. And now this year it's Columbus trying to get Babcock fired. So pretty interesting. Obviously, second overall pick, or third overall pick, excuse me, this year. They take Fantilli, who looks to be on that second line with Line A. So that's an interesting point prop this season, I feel like, and even a Calder pick if he plays with kind of that amount of talent. And this roster is not as bad as Chicago's either. So something to monitor here. Franco, you said you were kind of oddly high on this team. Is that right? Or
Yeah, I think at least one of the biggest issues with this team last year was defense.
Mhm.
And again, we're going to talk about another former Flyers defenseman going into a better situation, essentially, right? Like D'Angelo and Provorov were both playing either top 1 or 2 minutes for the Flyers. Now you're playing bottom pair minutes for these teams. I think that is what these guys should be playing at this point in their careers. D'Angelo's a little older than Provorov, but Provorov never got to the level that he was hyped up to be when the Flyers took him in the first round years ago. And I think that was what drew a lot of the negativity towards him in Philly. But I mean, if he's playing either second or third line or pairing minutes with this team, I think that's really good. And he's a solid defensive defenseman. They add him, they add Severson. This blue line looks 1,000 times better than it did last year. I mean, it was pretty horrendous. And when they lost Werenski, I mean, it just
downhill quick.
Yeah. I mean, it went terribly. So, I mean, now you have Goudreau here for another year. So he, maybe he starts to fit in a little bit better. I know he kind of struggled. He didn't really have the year that we all expected from him. Line A is always the big question mark with his injury history, of course. But I mean, the young talent here is so exciting, man. I mean, Kent Johnson, Marchenko, Fantilli, Roslovic, and then you got Tessier coming back, who's only 24, believe it or not. I feel like the guy has been around forever, but
the Daily Faceoff doesn't even have Sillinger listed here.
Yeah, exactly, and him too. Like, I feel like their talent pool, like their young players, is just so deep, and that it could flounder, obviously, right? Because you have so many young players, and it's like Boone Jenner and Line and Goudreau are the vets, I guess, at this point.
Maybe
So-
even Rosvalik.
Yeah, I know, right? That's crazy, right? So maybe because of that, they don't do well this year. But I mean, this team's looking up, I would say, in general. And I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I mean, if these guys can gel and mesh together well, if they can find these right pairings, and I mean, I know the coaching change obviously isn't going to help any of this, but maybe it's a banding point, though. You know what I mean? Like something that galvanizes them all together and brings the older guys with the younger guys, and they can, you know, bring everything in. And I think they're going to be exciting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I don't think anyone was too distraught, though, on this team to see Babcock go.
No.
I'm Same thing with like Sutter in California or Calgary.
Calgary.
Yeah.
See you out the door. I mean, the whole thing with the coaching old boys club has just got to go in this league. It's such an issue, and I don't know when it's going to finally, you know, end, but it just seems like these guys get recycled over and over again. And it's like, what do they really bring to these younger talented guys? Like their message can only go so far. And I mean, we're going to get to that when we get to Philly, like as well. But I don't think they're as effective anymore. Like there's a time and a place, I feel like it. And when you have the right pieces for a veteran lineup, but like Babcock would have never fit with this team. What the hell are we doing here?
No kidding. I think that almost saved this team from itself.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a different style of hockey now too.
Yep.
It's changed over the past 5 years so much to more skill-based, and these guys are still they want their top line centers and these young guys to go out there and just block shots for no reason.
Yeah, and
they're going to bench them.
Dump and chase. We're going to dump and chase with this roster. Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
come on, man. That would make me sick to see that. Seriously. Yeah.
Only question I have with this roster is their goaltending.
That is the big question mark.
Bad.
Yes.
LA level's bad.
I was going to say, is this the worst goalie tandem in the league?
I think LA's worse, man.
Philly may take that crown if Carter.
It's certainly top 5 level bad.
But yeah, I don't know. I think LA's worse, to be honest. Like that is kind of.
I think LA rivals that for sure.
Like Merzlikins had moments last year where he looked okay. Yeah. He's just terrible at home. Like,
yeah, I think that's the interesting thing with the goaltenders here too. Is like they're young enough to maybe there's some sort of spark. Maybe again, they've really fixed up the blue line and it's a very different looking blue line than it was in the past. And these are maybe the type of players that will help younger goaltenders feel a little bit more confident and not get left out high and dry. And should be interesting. The thing with LA is there's just like no upside to it. So I don't have much faith in it. But.
No, I think that blue line will make a difference this year, and at least providing him some support. Because you made that good point of when Werenski went out, they got shellacked every night. It was any shots on goal props between them or Anaheim. It felt like,
and they didn't have Severson or Provorov. Did they have Peck?
Yeah, they had him.
Okay, and they did have good Branson because I know that's a big reason why Goudreau wanted to come.
But put him on the third line though. Put him on that third pairing. You know.
Totally, it's great.
It's fine.
And then they have 2 first-round picks from the 2021-2022 draft. I'm sorry, with Jurasek and Matejček, who can be pulled up if there's any injuries, especially Jurasek because it's not juniors, so he can go if he's coming across the pond. He can go to their AHL club too. I don't know if they've signed him or not, but
yeah, I just saw a headline come across that said Sabres showing interest in Kane, and I was like, that's the last fucking thing they need is another veteran on that team with the amount of young talent just to plug up a roster spot for a year. But we'll get to them in a bit next week. But I guess we'll move along here. In terms of their season win total, 73.5.
Over.
And they had 59 last year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be as bad as last year. They were, like we said, pretty bad.
And it's partially from injuries last year too. And again, when these big players come over to a team and they don't fit immediately, it takes a minute. So I could say a huge bounce back from Gaudreau. I mean, it took the Panthers almost 3/4 of the season until they started really figuring it out last year. So,
I mean, they had the second most goals against in the league, 330 goals against, and Anaheim had 338. So, I mean, that alone is just, that's massive.
yeah.
Yeah, and they've hit that 73 mark. Not last year, obviously, but the year prior they hit it, and they finished 6th in the Metro.
Yeah, and they get to play 81. Philly 5 times. That's 10 points.
Shot
we'll take all the L's we
can to an over 63. Yeah.
Yeah. Over 1.5. Moving along here, let's head to New Jersey here, which is, I think, like we talked about before, is another team that's kind of vying for that first spot in the Metro. And it really seems like they kind of made that next step last year. And it's certainly one of the more fun teams to watch when you go through this roster as well, of just kind of hockey. Even if it's out of market, you just want to watch this team play. Almost won the division last year, obviously finished 1 point behind Carolina. But I mean, Franco, I guess we'll start with you here. Your thoughts on this team?
It looks great.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Right off the bat, their forward line looks really, really good, top to bottom. That fourth line looks pesky as hell. Toffoli is literally the perfect piece to add with Bratt and Hughes. He's just gonna sit right there in the slot, and they're just gonna pepper him with passes, and he's just gonna pepper the net. And then you got Meyer on the second line with Heischer. It's just stupid to me. And I mean, Mercer had a breakout season last year as well, right? If, Palat comes back healthy, he was kind of like in and out of the lineup last year, it seemed like. So the pieces look great to me. Holtz, if he can take that next step. I think my biggest question would be either that third pairing defense. They got Colin Miller in. Luke Hughes looks exciting, obviously. So that'll make this team even more fun to watch. But is that third pairing good enough? I know they lost Steverson, so I know he had his moments of failure and stuff like that, but I know he was one of the top-rated defensive defensemen last few years. So,
and they lost Graves, correct?
Yes, Graves too. Yes, so that's what I'm saying. So now you got two new, basically a whole new pairing in there with Hughes coming in on that second line. I guess is what they're projecting right now with Marino, but. I mean, that's a nice pairing, though. You got Marino, who's pretty defensive.
Yeah.
You can let Luke Hughes have a little bit of fun out there. And, I mean, it's exciting. I think this team is going to score a ton of goals. They're going to be fun to bet on night in and night out. But I guess the main thing is Vanacek the guy that we saw last year, right?
Yeah.
Goalies in general. I mean, like, all these teams this can be said about. So, like, copy and paste for everybody, but like Vanacek was especially amazing last year, right? Like better than he's ever been in his entire career. Is that a product of the system? Did he finally figure it out? Or was that just a blip on the radar and we're going to be laughing about how bad Vanacek is in 4 weeks or 5 weeks from now? I don't know what it is. And Schmid as well. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a question mark in the sense that just goalies are just so damn unpredictable year in and year out. But if they can get even close to what he was last year, I mean, this team will definitely make a run, and they're going to be fun as hell to bet on this year for sure. So,
yeah, I was looking at the playoff stats of Vanacek and Schmid here, and they both struggled significantly. It seemed like in the playoffs, Vanacek had a sub 900 save percentage of 4.64 goals against average, and Schmid had a 2.39 with a .21 or .921 save percentage. So both were drop-offs in regular season. But, I mean, this is the first time Vanacek was the number one goalie. And he lived up to the hype. He played pretty much well all season outside March, it seemed like. And, yeah, I think that's the only question of does he regain form. But even Schmid's not a backup option either. The way he showed it last year, too, it's like they have some room to play with. Losing Mackenzie Blackwood obviously is kind of whatever if that was their third option, but I don't think it matters much. I think
I'd have to agree. I mean, and there are going to be some goalies out there that they could always acquire if shit really hits the fan, but I just don't see it.
In terms of rosters, I guess the biggest question is Carolina's versus theirs. I think obviously Carolina has the advantage in net. Forward core could be a toss-up.
Forward core is Jersey. I mean, again, that magic touch.
Scoring wise,
when we're
scoring.
Carolina.
Scoring wise, Jersey, but defensive wise, I would say Carolina. As far as
I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
In terms of defensive pairings,
Carolina. Yeah.
That's easy. I mean, that third pair just looks really weak to me right now on paper, and I know maybe they can call up Nemec. So maybe that helps a little bit. I just don't know what we're going to get out of a Ball, Colin Miller defensive pair. And
Siegenthaler, I mean, he really kind of came out of nowhere last year. I mean, if he takes a step back, this is starting to look a lot shakier. Luke Hughes, if he doesn't have a great rookie season, even though I think the kid looks phenomenal. So there's question marks almost on every pair here, but if it all works out, oh boy.
Who do you think is a higher ceiling? New Jersey or Carolina?
Jersey.
Yeah.
Jersey's like the type of team that can win a game, kind of like what Colorado was a few years ago, right? Where they can win a game 6-4, and it's
like a boat race you out the barn.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that their goaltending's weak or their defense is weak. They can just crush you that way. So
Carolina's team, if they get down 3-1 in the third, who do they look for?
Yeah, exactly.
Devils have Hughes and that, or they can go to Bratt or Meyer or Heischer. I mean, the list goes on and guys who can just put one in the back of the net within 30 seconds, it seems like.
Yep. And even when they acquired Meyer last season, it never really felt like he figured his place out. I don't even think we've seen him play well for the team yet.
No. And
as far as the scoring prowess.
He's so talented. He will find
fully fit right in like a glove.
Yep.
But I think you're right about Meyer.
Well, I mean, he got acquired closer to the deadline, so he didn't have much time to adapt, and that they were kind of bouncing him around lines, and I think he eventually got kind of stapled to Hughes, and it wasn't working with Hughes. It was just too many, and I think Sharon Govich was still on their line too. So it was three like shoot first type players. Where looking at this lineup now, where Myers with Heischer and potentially Holtz, I don't know why you want to put Mercer there yet, but there's optionality there, and seeing if Toffoli works better with Hughes, and this just looks a lot more well-rounded and a lot less lopsided than I felt like the team looked after that acquisition last year.
Yeah. So you heard Carolina's regular season total at 105.5. What do you think New Jersey's is?
I'm assuming it's like 106.5 or 107.5.
103.5.
104.5.
Wow.
So Carolina's still projected to be the better team. And I mean, as we just talked about it, you give the advantage to Carolina in the majority of categories versus these teams. Would you rather take the 104.5 with New Jersey or the 105.5 with Carolina? We almost talked ourselves off Carolina too soon, I feel like. I'd rather take the 105.
I like Carolina a little bit more just because of the injury effect. If Vanacek goes down, Schmid gets too many starts and is playing over his head, if Hughes isn't quite ready for 82 games of NHL and Siegenthaler just kind of looks more like last year was his magical outlier year. there's just no questions on what that Carolina lineup is. And again, they have room for some of these players to get injured and keep rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, right, we're ranking New Jersey based on how they performed last year, the players on the team right now, plus their acquisitions, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we didn't even expect Jersey to make the playoffs last year, right? So
Yeah.
if any of these guys regress a little bit, yeah, that could be a major problem. And like you said, Carolina, we know what we're getting out of Carolina. It's almost like that boring consistency that some other teams have shown over the years, where it's just like, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be fine. It doesn't really matter that if they have injuries or whatever, they'll be fine. So I don't know that necessarily if this Devils team does sustain an injury to a Toffoli or a Meyer or a Bratt or a Hughes or Heischer. I mean, all these guys have been known to have injuries over their careers. It's not like, they're pictures of perfect health or anything like that. This team could look a lot less exciting if something like that happens. But yeah, right now on paper it looks pretty nice.
We didn't even know who would be the head coach for this team 10 games in last year.
Yeah, everybody thought he was going to get fired. It's so crazy.
Remember that?
But now with all that being said too, I mean, a slow start and
be calm for a
Is
second.
Lindy back out?
If Lindy wants to play more conservative because of that, I mean, could we be in the same boat? I doubt it, but
I mean, this is a team that you need to open up, though. Like you need to let them play without any kind of fear. Let the D-men, the young D-men pinch, the guys, the offensive guys, and let them have fun out there. I mean, if Lindy's going to play defensive, stay back, shut down type of games, I don't know if this team can play that style. So we'll see. I mean, he has to make that adjustment. I guess that's the main thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty crazy. Moving along here to the Islanders here. Their total is 91.5 here. And last year, they barely stuck in the playoffs with 93 here. Didn't really do much in the offseason. Signed a few guys that they had under contract, or a few UFAs. Locked up Sorokin 8 years, $66 million extension, which DiPietro round 2. If he doesn't perform,
no.
There's still. I think DiPietro's still in the books till 25.
No,
he hasn't shown any cracks in his armor yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. He's looked pretty damn good.
I'd be more concerned with him getting in some weird like Russian gambling scandal, and he has to go like get deported. And
was that Kaprizov last year where they had to go 0 dark 30 and rescue him from Russia?
Yes, I'd be more concerned about something like that than.
Just don't go back, guys. Just stay here. Otherwise, you don't know.
I guess we'll throw it to you here, Franco, or Betzky. I'll start with Betzky here in terms of this team here. It doesn't seem like they changed up much here. Is there any kind of higher expectation besides them sneaking in the playoffs, this loaded division?
I mean, there should be. Now,
on paper, yes.
Yeah, and you do have to think that Horvat wasn't there for. I guess he wasn't really a deadline pickup.
Yeah, he was before the deadline, so he had plenty of run there.
He had about a half season or so, mayy.
Yeah,
he started hot with this team.
Yeah, but I think Barzal was out for a little bit then too. Wallstrom,
he missed the playoffs too, or did he? Or miss it? He missed most of the tail end of the season.
Yes, and then
he came back to the playoffs.
Yeah. So now you got training camp and a full season of Horvat, so maybe that helps. Hopefully, Wallstrom can kind of like be one shoot first forward on this team to help.
He should be. He's that profile, right? Like
totally.
Why doesn't this guy get any run? 35 games played last year. It's like they don't want
to. I know. The blue line looks like it's going to be tough to play against, but it doesn't look like a very dynamic one again. I mean, this is a team that has an elite goaltender. I've seen teams like this. I mean, and they've often been in Islanders jerseys, but this is one of those types of teams that can really fall off quickly. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the 2010, 2011 Coyotes team when they kind of cruised and made it to the conference finals because of a big bruising blue line and Mike Smith playing out of his mind and getting timely goals and good coaching. And the next year they totally shit the bed. And there's a lot more talent on this team. Don't get me wrong. But Palmieri is another year older. Same as Nelson, same as Lee, same as Martin, same as Clutterbuck, same as Ezekis, same as, I guess, Pollock's somewhat young. Mayfield's getting older. I mean, this is a team that didn't improve enough compared to the rest of the division. And this was already a good division to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, the Wallstrom contract, only 1-year extension, seems like this is his year to kind of really prove it. And if he does, he's not going to be re-signed with this team at all because they really have no cap whatsoever already. That's why they really couldn't make any moves this offseason.
Yeah.
Franco,
which I don't get. Where is their cap?
They signed everybody
So
signed
where
for
is
so
the cap?
long, man.
You know?
Everybody signed for so long.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. It's pretty disgusting. I mean, Mayfield's signed till 2030.
For how much?
3.5. I guess that's not bad
That's not
for
too
like
bad.
what he is. But he's 30.
Engvall. I forgot the Engvall.
Yeah, they signed Engvall for
Yes.
7 years, man. What? For
This team loves long-term contracts.
I mean, it's brutal, dude. Between Engvall, Horvat, and Barzell, I mean, I know they're. Oh well, I don't know about. Engvall.
No one's going broke on the Islanders, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. This team's weird with the way everybody's signed. I'm looking at this; it's just pretty crazy. Pellick and Pollock are both signed forever as well.
There's probably another like black hole gambling team in my mind too. Like I just want to stay away. Like maybe Nelson shots.
It's just
maybe Horvat looks like
they've been the same team, man, for like years.
Unders.
Yeah, unders, boring games, just like avoid it. And then like if somebody gets hot for that stretch, like Horvat was for a little while, you ride it, and then when he falls off, you get off, and then you just say, okay, Islanders, we'll see you later. I think Wallstrom's intriguing though. If they let this kid actually friggin' play like he's playing with two playmakers,
yep,
he should have a ton of shots every game. Like he should be a guy that starts at 2.5 to start the year, where we're getting him plus money, and then he's going to be 3.5 for the rest of the season. We're going to be like, damn, I can't believe we had him at 2.5. But it's will they let him play?
Yeah,
I mean, they've constantly pulled this kid in and out of the lineup over the last 4 years. So.
And then this was a team that got to feast on a crappy Columbus team and a crappy Jersey team for years before last season, obviously with Jersey. You know, I've already said what I need to say about the Flyers. That could be another 5 wins right there. But otherwise, yeah, I think this division's balancing out a little bit more. I still don't think you can just roll over on the Capitals. I don't know. I think I would lean this 91.
91.5. I lean the under on this.
I leaned the under here too, and I leaned that. I mean, imagine if Sorokin goes down. I know you. Yeah. I mean, I always make that argument, and then Chad's and other people always say, "Well, imagine if your team's best player went down." But it's a little different here.
I don't know. I mean, to make the playoffs plus 110. I feel like this is a team that just makes the playoffs, like one way or another. I mean, we'll talk about these other teams, but I don't know. I don't love it or anything like that. But it's the teams with that good defensive blue line, which this still relatively is, and good goaltending. And you know, like you said, obviously, if Sorokin goes down, then yeah, they're dead. But I mean, that would be the case regardless. This is just that boring team.
You don't think 5 can come out of the other division?
I guess that's possible too.
Yeah, I see the Atlantic potentially taking up both wild-card spots.
That could happen. That could definitely happen.
I was hoping miss the playoffs would have been plus 110 because that would be interesting.
It's probably pretty close. I was looking at FanDuel. They don't have to miss.
Which is crazy. DraftKings definitely does have to miss.
I know DraftKings does, yeah.
Yeah, but all right, Franco, do you have a lean on this?
I mean, I would probably lean that points total under. This is a team that, like, the last few years, I know Chad's was, like, saying this team stinks last year. And I was like, this team is going to win a ton of 2-1 games, and they're going to
and they do
what they do. Like, it's boring, and it's not fun, That's not exciting. Like it's no one wants to look at this roster and bet this team. No one does.
Every time they're in prime time, no one gets excited.
It's like, dude, come on. But in reality, like it succeeds and it hasn't changed. So like, why should we really be down? The only thing is like age, I guess. But none of these guys are like that old. Besides Palmieri, who's like 1,000. But
you know what? You know what's really bad?
Under. What? I can't wait to hear this now.
Yeah, I'm curious for this too. I'm trying to go through their past seasons too.
No, it's about Palmieri. How old do you think he is?
Whoa, he's not even that old.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
He just looks old. He looks older.
How old is he?
Take a guess. I mean, now you know.
Well, now you spoiled it. Like what? 31.
He's 32.
32.
Wow, so, I would have said 34 for sure.
I would have said 35 plus.
Yeah. I thought he would be 30. I thought he was the oldest player on this team. Clutterbuck's older than him at 35. Martin's 34. Yeah, 32. Even Anders Lee is 33. I feel like he's younger. What the hell?
Palmieri looks like he could be Lee's dad. I mean, not like the way they actually look.
Palmieri's been in the league for 1,000 years, though. Like,
yeah. It's those caterpillar eyebrows, man. Just looks like
that's crazy.
Yep.
I mean, he was pretty productive towards the end of the year last year. Maybe he's still got something left.
Arguably, maybe a top 10 most underrated player in the whole league.
I know, it's just like he does it year in and year out, and I don't understand. I don't know. I think we're kind of discounting this team, but at the same time, I don't want to back this team for an over win.
I don't either.
Don't want to.
And again, if there were weaker teams in this division, maybe I would feel a little bit differently. But man, this is a tough.
It's a tough spot.
Mm-hmm.
You sound like you're higher on some of these other teams, but I'm still not that high on this team.
So Carolina, Jersey, obviously have above them, and then we'll keep on going.
Yeah. Another interesting team here. Moving on to the Rangers here.
Yeah.
Tempered, kind of really fell off last year. Hoping to kind of make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Didn't. Lost in the first round to New Jersey here. Upset 4-3. Again, third in the Metro here. 107 points. New coach in. But again, is this team ever going to kind of break through? Feels like it's the same shit every year with this team.
On paper, it looks so good again.
So good.
But Capo Caco hasn't done what he should be doing. Lafreniere doesn't look like a first overall pick.
Yeah, so why are we saying that this looks so good then? Like,
because on paper, you
think that because they're crap, right? Like, what are we talking about?
Like, yeah, I think we do have to take the Jets approach here and just be like, this team has shown us what they are.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look terrible.
No, it's a good team.
Crazy, but like, I don't know. I mean, are these kids ever going to do it? It's I don't know.
They bring in, they bring in Blake Wheeler, I guess, on that second line.
I mean, that dude's always been productive, though.
Yep.
Yeah, solid but not exciting, I guess, right?
Yeah. Now, I will say, I hated all the moves they made at the deadline last year. You get Tarasenko, that got me interested and whatnot. And then you get Kane, and it's just like, what are you doing? It felt like when Nashville one of those seasons, Nashville just bought everybody that they could. And Pittsburgh's done this before too. It's like forcing chemistry, and like, just because the guy works on another team, you think he's going to work on your lineup. And it just, Kane never looked like he fit. Tarasenko never looked like he fit. Who else did they get?
I'm trying to remember who else it was.
I feel like there was someone else, right?
There was somebody else. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, it fell apart because there was no those guys are not defensive forwards. So like,
yeah,
now you're pushing guys that can help out in the other end down the lineup, and that was a problem that they struggled with last year. I mean, Shesterkin wasn't as good as he was the previous year.
Yep.
I mean,
he regressed.
Good, he definitely regressed. But I mean that's expected, right? Like you can't. Again, goalies are just not consistent. There's just
voodoo.
It's who is like a true number one, like absolute stud goalie that you would want to build your team around? That I feel like there's not really that many. I know he's been good, but like, is he? We
Vasilevsky,
thought
I
he was
guess.
a few years ago, like, or
You even
2 years.
argue for Sorokin.
Yeah, I would put Sorokin in there.
Saros maybe, but like,
Vassy.
I mean, it's there's just not
Vassy,
that
But yeah,
many.
no,
sure.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? And like, is the guy we saw last year really who he is, or is it the guy that we saw 2 years ago? I don't know. And you bring in Quick as his backup. I mean, Jesus, what are we doing here? I understand the goalie market's shit, but like, come on, man. There's got to be somebody. Anyone?
I know.
Yeah.
Anyone? Aaron Dell? I don't know.
I mean, they lost to Locke, which who do you
Yeah,
want
I'd
for
rather have
backup?
Halak.
Yeah, like, I'd rather have a Locke as well than Quick, who's aging.
Quick was so bad last year.
I mean, how many games is Quick going to give you?
Yeah. How many goalies did Vegas go through and still didn't use Quick, who they traded for? You know? I mean, that should tell you everything about where he's at this point.
Remember, it wasn't last year, obviously. Quick was bad, but the year before, he came out of nowhere and was still unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think
that's the voodoo thing is goalies.
Yeah, I mean,
that was
who
probably
knows?
the
Maybe
last of it.
he'll be great this year, right? Out of nowhere.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
be
he
trying to
won't.
fade him early in the season, but I think the main problem is if by bringing in Quick, you're condemning Shesterkin to play a ton of games again this year.
Yeah,
and that's just not going to help this team in the long run, unless they're going to trot Quick out a bunch. But I just don't see that.
I mean, can Lafreniere finally put up 40 points on this first line? He hasn't done it yet.
I mean, I think Kakko's got to go on that first line. He played there decently last year. Why is Laugh up there?
Yeah.
Well, this daily face-off, so who knows?
Yeah, I feel like that's not going to be accurate.
I do think I think coaching change is huge here, though.
I think they needed it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd they bring in?
See how it goes, but I mean, as far as potentially getting, your first overall pick and your Kakko is second, right?
Yeah,
getting them potentially going. Yeah,
different drafts, but yeah, 1-2.
You need to have the coach trust you a little bit more than we've seen in the past. And again, this is still top blue line, though. I mean, up and down it. Schneider looked great last year.
Yeah, he took a step last year for sure.
Yeah,
I kind of like the Gustafson the acquisition. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is probably top 5 unit too. Carolina, them.
He'll help out their power play.
Vegas,
Gustafson. Last year their power play was terrible, right? Like the previous year they were power play only, and they just fell off the cliff somehow. So maybe that acquisition might help that out a lot, like kind of underratedly. Gustafson on that second pair, but I don't know. I mean, Lavi tends to get a great return out of his players. I mean, as much as I was bashing bringing in the old boys, like he's one of the few I think with this type of team with all the vets on it and it being a team that just hasn't been able to get over the hump. Maybe he can be that guy that this is the right fit. Let's put it that way.
I agree.
I wouldn't want him on a young team. I wouldn't want him on Columbus or one of those other teams, but this team fits.
Yep. And I think Lavi is one of the older coaches who can support younger players too and find homes for them and find leashes that are just long enough for them.
Interesting season total here. 100.5. Past 2 years, they've had 107 and 110. I mean, we talked about.
I really don't want to touch it.
Yeah. Does Laviolette make that difference? I mean, they had it before.
I think so. I think they can get there.
Yeah, I do too.
I
don't hate that 100.5 at all.
Again, it's really what are these kids going to do this year? Because I mean, if you put them all on that third line again, if that's what ends up being the case, and you move Trocheck up, I mean, I don't even know who moves to the top line wing then. If that, I guess Panarin. I think that's the biggest issue, right? Like if you decide, all right, like it's not working, move the kids back to the kid line on the third line. Who's that next? Like, I guess you either move Wheeler up or you. That's where the hole becomes. What are you moving, like Jimmy Vesey up there?
Yeah.
God.
I mean, that's what you're looking at, though.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Or
No, you're.
Goudreau, like, to play top 2 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't really love
That's
I
a
don't
good
really
point.
love this fourth line, to be honest with you.
Really? Nick Bonino's amazing.
Bonino's good and Pitlick, but like Vesey doesn't fit there.
Yeah, screw him. Throw him. Like,
It's
I'm
like-
sure they
it's
can pull somebody
like,
else.
Like it just doesn't. It doesn't.
I
doesn't
know. I
fit.
can't stand. I mean, I've just.
I don't get how this dude's getting run at all anymore. Like he came out with all this hype.
He
insane.
seems to just stick around on fourth lines.
Yeah, but he
Not
should be like
good.
a second or third. Yeah, second or third liner at worst, and he's not good enough to be a second liner on a team like this.
No, it's like a bad. He's like yeah.
Yeah, where does he fit on this team? He doesn't.
Hobie Baker winner.
Yep.
Crazy. All right, here I guess I'll move on from this team. Franco, the floor is yours here.
Geez.
Philadelphia Flyers. Talk us through this roster this year.
All right. Well, I want to backtrack first. So
Okay.
last year I went on a huge rant saying how much I hated everything that they did last year and why they give Fletcher another year to just drive this team into the ground. They signed Ristolainen to an extension. They signed Sanheim to an extension. They traded for Tony DeAngelo for some unknown reason. I mean, they signed Nick Delorier to like way too much money. I don't even remember the number, but it's whatever. Awful decisions. They're going to be paying for that for a few years because of that. Now, fast forward to now, I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic. Not about this year, obviously, because this team still is what it is, but they've at least finally accepted the fact that they're not a playoff team, right? They're not good enough. They haven't been good enough really for the last few years. They've been that team that has been in the playoffs one year, out of the playoffs the next, up and down, shown flashes, but really can't put it all together. And at this point, this is what you're seeing, this lineup here of the guys that are hanging on like Couturier and Lawton and Atkinson and, but yeah, I think this team has a bright future. 2-3 years from now, maybe we can finally be excited in Philly and do it the right way, hopefully, as long as they continue on the path they're on right now. But as far as this season goes, yeah, I don't know. I think there's kind of some reason for optimism towards their point totals and stuff like that. I think this team could, so I guess the main question is health, right? So you got Couturier coming back from literally what feels like 2 years of not playing, and Atkinson, who missed last year with like some phantom injury where he was going to come back and then he wasn't, and he was going to come back again and he wasn't, and I don't know what's going on. So as this lineup currently stands with them healthy, it looks all right. If you guys remember, Couturier a few years ago was the next coming of Anze Kopitar, right? Like he was seriously, he could score.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Defensive center, like he looked the part, right? So I mean, I don't know what the hell he is now. He could be awful. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But like on paper, this team doesn't look that bad. The top 2 lines, at least, right? Even the third line, I could argue is pretty damn good for this team, at least. With Atkinson, I think Cates is pretty underrated as a defensive center, and I actually like Wade Allison. He's a power forward, physical dude. I like these top 3 lines for this team. I think it's better than what like most people on the outside looking in are going to say. Now, if Couturier is not good or Atkinson goes down in the first 3 games, then yeah, obviously this team looks horrendous. The blue line is awful. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I still love Cam York. I think he's going to be a great player in this league, but them signing Ristolainen and Sanheim for like 1,000 years at a combined like $12 million just makes my head hurt every single day when I look at Cap Friendly, and I just can't get over that. there were rumors in the offseason that Sanheim was going to be involved in a trade, and I was ecstatic, and that fell through. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of learning that needs to be done with Briere at the GM. They were going to trade Tony DeAngelo and get picks, and then that got leaked, and then they had to cut him, and Carolina signed him anyway. So I mean, I think
so they traded for him. Cut him,
yeah, like they traded away Gostisbehere with a pick to get rid of him, and then they acquired DeAngelo, who's the same player, and then they cut DeAngelo the next year because they couldn't get rid of him. It's just like everything about the management of that.
We got JJ.
Yeah,
I think we got JJ Musser for Gostisbehere.
With that
while
pick,
having
right?
a great career. Yeah. And then Gostisbehere was awesome for us.
Yeah. I mean, for what Gostisbehere was, like, that's who he was. Like, they were trading him I don't know. They traded a pick with him. It's just ridiculous. Everything.
Yeah, they traded a second. Which ended up being the 60th overall. Wait. Let me make sure that that's correct.
With that being said, I mean, the way this team was being run was terrible, and hopefully they can figure this out, because those trades leaking, like between that and then there's the rumor about trading Hayes and Sanheim to the Blues I know Kyrou was being rumored, which I was like ecstatic about, and that didn't happen, obviously. And then they traded Hayes for 7th. It's like how do we go from Kyrou to a 7th round pick?
Yeah,
what the hell's going on here? So I don't know. I think in a few years, like I said, this team could be good. You sign Mark Stahl, he helps out Cam York for the season. He looks all right. You trade him at the deadline because he's on a 1-year deal. That's like the perfect guy to acquire. As much as I don't think Mark Stahl has much left in the tank at this point, like I think a team would potentially try to trade for him at the deadline. So
for like a 6th.
Whatever, man. Anything. If you get anything, it's worth. You know what I mean? If you get anything, it's worth it. You know, that's all I'm saying. You know, and a few of these other guys will be out here. I think TK needs to go this year. I wanted them to trade him last year. When he was on that run, he should have been traded. There was no reason to keep him, and he got hurt. So I hope that is on the mind of Danny Briere and Keith Jones. You know, I hope that these guys are true to what they're saying, that they're going to rebuild this team, and it's not going to be the same damn thing that we've seen all these years where it's like, oh, just kidding, we're going to go in next year and sign all these guys and just bury the young guys behind everybody. So, yeah. With that being said, that's where I'm at. Hopefully they make some trades. Hopefully York takes a step forward. And honestly, I hope they re-sign Carter Hart. I know I'm in the minority as far as Flyers fans go, but he's only 25, I believe, 24, 25. I think he's just getting into his prime. He's played in front of horrendous defenses his entire career in the organization. I think, and he had a damn good year last year, even with it. Like, so I mean, I think he's a foundation piece because he's so young that you sign him to a 6 or 7 year deal, you lock him up. He has to endure this crap team for a few more years. And Mitchkov comes over. They add another 1st round pick, top 5 pick this year, and there you go.
Yeah, that was oddly optimistic. I gotta say, going into that, I wasn't expected, but yeah, I think you're right. You kind of hit on all points. Major question now: season win total or for points here is 73.5. They had 75 last year. Where are you going? How optimistic are you? This is the real make or break of are you back in on the Flyers bandwagon?
So the fan in me wants this team to lose. I want them to trade TK like as soon as he goes on the first run of scoring that he does. You know what I mean? Like the only players I want them to keep on this team are like re-sign Tippett and like
Morgan
maybe
Frost.
Wade Allison and Frost. They re-signed this offseason, but like everybody else, like Lawton was involved in trade rumors. Konechny was last year as well. So I don't know. I think if they keep this team together, they're going to be winning more games than anybody thinks in the beginning of the season. They're going to be a team you're going to be trying to fade and losing money on. So I don't want to bet either way. I think they're going to start out hot, and then when it comes to time to start trading players, they're going to trade players, and then that's when the demise will happen, and they'll start losing games.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Betzky, anything to add on these guys, or you good to move on?
No, we can move on. I've heard enough. I would lean on the under though. Yeah, mostly for. I don't think this is the worst team in the league. Maybe not even the worst two. That's definitely Chicago and probably San Jose. Maybe bottom 3. Maybe bottom 4. Maybe they outperform a little bit. But I would only bet the under, most likely because there's a good chance that not everybody's healthy. There's a good chance that they start trading some of the players that are helping them win. And we don't even know if Carter Hart's going to play or not, right? If he's involved with the scandal.
That's a whole nother thing. But I mean, he could be traded as well. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah,
aspect.
That too.
So I mean,
and I agree. If he's clean and he wasn't involved in anything at Hockey Canada, then I think he should be a piece they keep. But I just don't know if they will.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that, Gator, as well? Like, do you think if you were building this team right now from where it is right now, would you resign a 25-year-old Carter Hart?
I think you have to, almost with the recent trend we've seen with these goaltenders. There's really, I mean, we struggled to name 5 goalies you'd really want to build your franchise around, and I guess you could even throw Hart in that conversation purely based on his age and the amount of experience he has with this team. Like you said, he's 25 and he hasn't been bad. He's had swings of brilliance. He's had signs of looking awful, but most of these goalies do, it seems like. And yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't trade him, or why you would trade him at this rate. You mentioned you have 4 or 5 guys that you want to keep in your core. And I think getting rid of him just sets you back in square one when you have a goaltender right there that's in your organization.
Yeah, I mean, all of us have seen it over the years with our teams, right? Like the Flyers as well, or historically, we've never had goaltenders.
No.
I mean, Buffalo.
Yeah, you finally get one, and then the rest of the team.
You finally get one, and then you're like, "Oh wait, we're rebuilding, but we're going to get rid of him for 2 years."
I'm telling you, everybody in the city wants him gone. I don't get it, man. Like,
there's so many worse options out there that we've gone through already.
Yes, exactly. So, and teams are running these guys out there for real as their starters in real life.
That Hockey Canada report, I forgot that was.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
That is the last week, and I feel like that's going to hit in the next week or 2.
Yeah, right when the season starts.
Yeah, right when the season starts. That's going to be the bombshell that comes out. All right, move it along here. We'll head to Pittsburgh. Obviously, they kind of make that big offseason splash here, trading for Karlsson here. I guess the first question is, do you think it's enough to kind of push this team over the edge in terms of, does this veteran core have anything left? I mean, they kind of went through that phase. What, last year was it, when they had issues with Malkin and Letang kind of re-signing? Or
yeah,
that was last year, right?
Offseason,
so that was the big story last year, and then they just continue to get older here, adding Karlsson. I don't know if he's really the solution for this team getting over the edge. I got to say, I mean, obviously he provides a crazy amount of talent on the back end, but I don't see this team as really a top 4 cup contender, unless I'm just wildly outaked here.
Okay. Talking about Magic. Remember when Peyton Manning went to the Broncos? And the first year they were just electric, but they didn't win at all. I think they got beat by the Seahawks, right? And then the second year, he could barely throw a fucking football, and they won the whole thing.
Defense carried their ass,
Yeah. I don't know. This on paper, I agree. I don't think they're going to win the division. I don't think they don't look like they're going to make it to the Cup finals or the conference finals. But would it surprise me? No. Would it surprise me if Crosby puts up 100 points? No. I mean, they all have to stay healthy. They all can't have taken too big of a step back. But I'm looking at the daily faceoff lineup right now. It doesn't even have Gensel in it. It doesn't even have Beavis in it. Like,
He's missing the first few weeks.
Yep. So
Coming
once he
from
comes
injury.
back in, geez, the top 6 looks great. The addition of Riley Smith was fantastic.
I like that addition.
Did they have Asari last year?
Achari, no.
I love that pickup then.
No, they signed Achari
He went-
3 years, $6
Yeah,
million.
he was traded to the Blues, I think.
Okay. And then, I mean,
Re-signed
the addition of
Jerry.
Erik Karlsson is insane. And I really like the Graves pickup for them, too, for what they're trying to accomplish right now. This team is going to get ugly in 2 more years, though. I mean, with just these types of contracts. But
Yeah,
I think
signed-
this team could really make a really surprise. And I may need to look up to see what getting to the conference finals is, or getting to the cup is. It may be worth like quarter unit or even less.
They also signed a Jelkovic as their backup, which again, I don't.
Can't wait to fade him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is he worse than?
But again,
Smith?
but again, exactly is he worse? And is this kind of the second chance he needs?
Yeah, exactly. Or
I mean, he
third
went to
chance,
Detroit,
really.
and that was horrible.
Yeah,
but in Jari's in that pile of goalies that I will say is one of those voodoo ones of it's going to be a roller coaster career. 1 year he seems very good, 1 year he seems very bad. It's definitely not one you build around, but
this could be his up year, though, right?
This could be his up year, yeah.
Horrible year last year, and he was a guy we thought was great the previous year. So
I thought he was going to keep the Penguins rolling and keeping them in the playoffs and in first round exits. To me, this looks like a team who can make it into the playoffs and get out of the first round, no problem. This could also be that team where everything goes right and Crosby wants one more cup. This team needs some serious injuries to not be good.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. I mean, having Alex Nylander in your top 6.
But he won't be there once Gensel's back.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And I don't, it's obviously, who knows if he'll even be in the lineup come the half point of the season. But yeah, I mean, you're right, Betzky. You make a great point of this team could find something. And it's a scary team to fade, really, in terms of a season point total.
Yeah,
the thing
because
about
they could go either way.
Though, is he was a first round pick, right? Like,
yeah, he was on the Sabres took him.
Yeah, so I mean, I was looking a little bit into him because I'm like, what has this guy done, right? Last year in the AHL, he had 50 points in 55 games.
Huh.
So I mean, like, I know this might be almost like the perfect scenario for him, right? Gensel's out. He gets top 2 line minutes for the first 2 weeks of the season, say. What if he becomes what he was supposed to be? I mean, he's playing with Malkin and Rust.
He played their top 6 a little bit last year too, though.
I know, but I mean,
you just never
know. You know what I mean? Like,
you're completely right. This team could be a great question mark.
And and then Guentzel comes back. He moves to the third line, and now your third line looks a little bit stronger than it does right now. Like, see, to me, like, Betzky seems a little higher on this team than I am. Really, like, I get the idea that you don't want to fade. You don't want to fade this team because of the pieces they have, right? But these bottom 2 lines, like, I'm not that.
Yeah, but it's the Penguins.
I guess the fourth line looks. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah,
they're all kind of grindy, right? They're all kind of grindy, right? Like Eller, like I kind of like Eller, and I kind of like Achari too.
And let's say, see,
they kind of set up. They set up more for a playoff team. It feels like.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah.
This is a regular season team.
Those
sneak
bottom
in.
2 lines are just a pain in the ass, right? Like,
to
play against.
Like,
and if Nylander finds chemistry, Riley Smith could be down on the third and Guentzel back up with Crosby.
I mean, I think the player I like the least is Carter, honestly, at this point in his career. Like, I feel like he just doesn't bring much to this team.
Sure. Then they can replace him. They can get Zucker back by February.
Where did he go again?
Zona.
All right. Yeah,
On a
you
1
guys
year,
return
you know?
back.
Yeah.
you sick.
Hey, we'll take 50% off his contract. Here you guys go. Take your
That would
first
be
or your
such a
second.
move. That would be such a.
They're minus 230 to make the playoffs.
Yeah, so they're thinking. I mean, like you said, man. I mean, if Crosby and Malkin play 70 games, this team's making the playoffs.
Yep, that's the big thing here.
It's
Yeah.
And same for Carlson.
I kind of don't hate your strategy here, Betzky, of not touch their season total, but take them as a dark horse to win the East.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably
if you're gonna go in that way.
And knowing that it's a long shot too, but
because they're probably not going to win the division, like you said.
Can they add at the deadline though? They're so tight up against the cap. I mean, maybe they can move money around somehow. I don't know, but
and don't forget everybody's cap hits go down as the year goes on.
You'd almost I mean, to win the division, they're 10-1 right now. Or not the division, to win the East, they're 10-1.
Yeah, I don't mind that idea because they could be that team if they find that magic. And
I
love
the division is plus 550, and you've seen New York and Carolina struggle past 2 seasons.
Oh, Carolina made it to the conference finals, but
yeah.
I mean, if this team's rolling on all cylinders and they're playing Carolina in the conference finals,
and you have a 10-1 ticket on them.
Mm-hmm.
You have a 10-1 ticket them to win the East.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
I don't mind it. Yeah.
I agree. There's no value in betting their over wins. I think that's where you do it. You just ride that for a little bet and see what happens if this team can find that magic.
Like we said, they're more suited. Yeah, they're more suited for a playoff team than a regular season team by far. When you look at the rosters of the rest of these teams, Carolina and New Jersey in the division.
And I think last year they just thought they were going to get in, right? Like they lost some bad games.
All they had to do was beat Chicago.
Yeah, they lost some bad games towards the end of the year.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's flat out. So I don't think that happens again.
Last year could have been completely different. They beat Chicago. Florida doesn't get in.
Oh my God. They could have been Florida.
Holy cow. Probably not.
No.
Jersey could have been. Maybe. Toronto. Yeah. Toronto could have done it. Man, this is like that Domino's. That Domino's. How do we just forget about Boston?
Losing. Boston lost in the first round of Florida. If Pittsburgh gets in.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh could have been that pesky team to beat Boston too, though. I mean, I feel
agreed.
Not with the way Jari was playing, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Boston, yeah.
Yeah, Smith was
one loss to Chicago. That's all it took.
It's crazy.
Yeah. All right, last team here. I'll wrap up this division here. Washington here, I guess, didn't qualify to make the playoffs last year for the first time since 2014 here. I guess another kind of aging veteran team here. I think from what we've talked about before and kind of off the podcast, we're certainly, now that we just went through it, we're certainly higher on Pittsburgh, obviously, than them this season. I just don't know. It's another weird team here of how do they sneak into the playoffs?
I mean, you look at this team on paper and it's way better than they will perform. I like
the names are there.
The names are there. Yep, but
they're a name team for sure.
Mm-hmm. But Kuznetsov seems like he has motivational issues. Wilson can't stay healthy, and I don't even know if he'll ever return to what he used to be able to do production-wise. Mantha has health issues. Ovechkin's playing for the goal record. Milano, who knows if he can keep up in an NHL roster. I loved the Strome pickup last year. I think he still will play very well for them. TJ Oshie's another year older. I don't know who Snively is. Sounds like somebody from a Harry Potter book.
You don't know Joe Snively, man? That guy's great.
Really?
Yeah, he's had some flashes. He's scored some goals, man, when he's gotten some attempts on this team, believe it or not.
Interesting.
New coach. Is it enough?
New coach, sure. The Sandine pickup was really nice for them, and they'll have hopefully a whole season of John Carlson. I think that's your biggest addition here, right? Having Carlson back.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the Metro of Carolina, New Jersey, and then your B teams, I guess, after that are Rangers, Islanders, Pittsburgh.
Yep.
But then you go to the East, and you have 5 teams there that you could argue are better than Washington as well.
Yep. You know what's funny is all the hype that Detroit will probably have this season.
Ottawa too.
Yeah, but I've seen more from Ottawa now, I think.
At least Ottawa got potentially a goalie, maybe.
Yeah. And like I just look up and down Detroit's lineup and give me Caps all day. But
I don't know. Like
then you still have Boston, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Florida.
Yeah, no, I know.
4 there. And then you have 4 or 5 you could argue in the Metro.
And Buffalo is going to be better than
Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I think Ottawa will be right in
I think Ottawa can even jump into that conversation too. Yeah.
Totally.
So what is there to make the
playoffs? This is going to be a team that's going to take some wins from people, though, for sure. They're not a bottom dweller.
They're almost like the Islanders. They're like an Islander. Like I almost feel like I like this, at least the way this looks, besides the goaltending. More than the Islanders.
But, maybe it is just the game of names, though, and we all remember how good Backstrom was because he hasn't been that great in the past maybe 2-3 seasons now. Oshie looks all right, but he can get you some big goals here and there, and then he has games where it's like he didn't even shoot once.
Or he misses like 10 games in a row too.
Yeah, well, and then he will miss 10 games in a row.
Is Pacioretty going to be back for the start of the season?
Oh man, yeah, I forgot they got him. That's a nice little gamble.
Yeah.
Back-to-back Achilles though.
Yep.
That's brutal. This team could be, like you said, that could be that annoying team that like steals wins. You're not expecting them to be good because
if they're like home dogs,
they
could certainly be in betting positions all year.
Like I don't hate their blue line, to be honest with you. I think the pieces are all right. Like Faravari and Jensen's not a bad pair. TVR isn't too bad. I don't know about Edmondson though. Like I feel like he's not that great. But Sandine looked pretty good last year, man.
It's not like a terrible roster by any means, but it's just like, is it enough to compete
in this division? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if Pittsburgh isn't as good as we're saying they are, like, I think they could take some wins from them. Like, I know
they need the Islanders to continue to regress.
High on the Islanders or the Flyers. This is a team that's going to beat the Blue Jackets like every time.
Yeah,
because they're just, you know what I mean.
They just historically they have.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean. The Blue Jackets puts 2 in, and then you'll be like, oh, we got to bet the Blue Jackets because they're playing.
Wow, they just beat Jersey and Carolina.
Caps smoked by the Caps.
Yeah.
I think that'd be the first time that I say, wow, we got to bet the Blue Jackets. Usually let's take their over, or something.
It's for sure going to be the day that we're all high on them. They just beat Colorado, Jersey, Buffalo, and now they're playing the Caps at home, and it's like we got.
It's exactly what happened, and they're going to be
unit on the,
and they're going to be plus the cat. Yeah, Columbus is going to be plus 110 at home, and everyone's be like, "Oh my God, this is such a steal of a line."
Yeah,
and then Washington's going to come out and just blow the fucking barn doors off of them. And everyone's going to lose all their money. It happens once or twice a year where everyone's on a game thinking this is so easy. And then,
whoops.
Write it down, guys. Just write it down. So
write that down scenario.
Like, it's going to happen. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So what's their point total at?
We got here for their point total here. We don't have to make the playoffs, but Washington point total 85.5, and they had 80 last year.
Yeah,
another one of those lines I'm just not going to touch.
Man. So it is the name game then, huh?
Yeah, I Yeah, that's like right there. Like I could see them having 84 points. I could see them having 86.
It's like the Islanders at 90.5.
Man.
I think they're going to be better than they were last year. I think they had a
Yeah.
I
3
was
wins
down on them.
better.
I don't know. I was down on them last year, and I thought they were going to miss the playoffs. And now I'm like, I don't know. I look at this team, and I don't feel like they're as bad as we're thinking they're going to be. But I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Anything else to add here on the Metro?
So Columbus plays Tampa Bay on November 2nd. They're going to win that game. And then they travel to Washington on the 4th. Washington will definitely be home dogs in that game. And we're going to bet them. November 4th. Write it down.
All right.
I'll make sure to clip this. I'm going to clip that. I'm going to clip this for sure. This is going to be our best bet of the year, and then we're going to lose all our following. Yeah,
everyone's going to be like, these idiots. What the hell?
There's so many angry DMs and requests. Yeah, it's going to happen. All right. Anything else?
No. I feel like we've touched
on everything. What are your top 3?
Oh yeah, I guess we got to do that. Huh?
The top 3 best bets here.
I got mine.
Okay, all right. You start off then, because I'm between a few.
I'm going to take Carolina over 105.5, CBJ over 73.5, and New Jersey over 104.5.
I think I hate you because I think that's what I was going to put.
If I'm fine with all 3 of us having the exact same stuff,
I know,
because I think it's such a illustration of this division.
Yeah, it's like condensed.
I like the Carolina and New Jersey, but I think you said before too of Philly under 73.5. I'm going to add that one.
Yeah, I could do that. But some teams have to have 60 points, you know?
I'm going to go. I kind of want to fade the Penguins, man, just because.
Oof.
I know.
What's their line, though?
97.5.
Oh, yeah.
It does seem like a lot.
I don't mind that. Yeah. They can still get in the playoffs and win the cup at 95 points.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll do that. All right, fine. Columbus over, Pittsburgh under, and I'm gonna go Jersey over because I feel like they're gonna be, like I said, that regular season team that's gonna just score a ton, and it's not gonna matter that if they have defensive struggles. I think Carolina's gonna be more of the playoff team. So that's
fair. Then a 10-1 on Pittsburgh to win the East.
Yep.
Yeah. Bonus bet. All right. You guys want to shout out your socials?
Franco the Banker.
Sure. No, I'm sorry, Franco. You go.
Franco the Banker on Twitter.
Gretzky Betzky is on Twitter and part of the Parlay Science Discord.
Awesome. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at GatorBetting and on theoddsbreakers.com. This has been another episode of Expected Bets 4. Thank you all for listening. See ya.